Hogwarts Legacy has been overtaking the gaming community for the past couple of weeks, and as a childhood Harry Potter fanatic, I have been dreaming of a game like this since I was a kid. But does it live up to all the hype? Hi, I'm Kai, and let's talk about Hogwarts Legacy. So before I get into the depth of my first impressions video, I do want to acknowledge that J.K. Rowling has made a lot of controversial statements in the past, and while I'm aware that this has put a lot of people off of purchasing this game, I'm choosing to give credit to those that have worked so hard on a game like this. Game development takes years, and I know lots of people have put their hearts and souls into making this game a masterpiece. I also want to point out that what I've seen from the game so far, it has a really diverse cast, including disabled and LGBTQ+ characters, and I really can appreciate the effort that the developers have gone towards making Hogwarts a more inclusive place without feeling as if they need to beat you over the head with it. If you choose not to support this game by purchasing it, I can understand and respect your opinion, but with that, let's move on to the rest of the video. Now, while I show you some of the character customization scenes, I did want to talk about something cool I discovered during my initial setup of the game. First boot up, when you first see the settings menu, there is a verbal prompt that tells you how to turn on audio guidance, and I might go and see how the game runs and feels with that audio guidance in place, because obviously this is a really good example of accessibility efforts, and it's always lovely to see these features in new games. Overall, once you get into this character customization screen, I actually really like the way it feels. The only thing I'm not crazy about is the sliders for hair and eye colors and that kind of thing. That's just a personal preference. I never like when games do this, and there is a limited amount of features you can pick from within the game itself. However, the character integration during your cutscenes and the fact your character actually verbalizes their dialogue in these cutscenes is a really immersive feature, and honestly, I can totally overlook any lack of customization when that is implemented in a game. The introduction sequence for this game is honestly amazing. You really feel like you're experiencing the Wizarding World for the first time, even though you're getting thrust into it from the get-go. Everything is just beautiful and somehow familiar and unfamiliar at the same time. However, I feel that this overall intro tutorial suffers from the same issues that all game tutorials do, which is a little bit of poor pacing. While the overall tutorial is highly immersive, I didn't really feel like I was playing until I arrived at Hogwarts, where I felt the tutorial was better immersed in the excitement of school and classes. Having the Thestrals be the ones that are carrying your carriage through the sky is honestly a great touch for fans of the series. It really made me feel like I was back in the magic of my childhood, and the fact that the Thestrals were invisible until you witnessed the death of someone in front of you is just a great touch. Now, moving on to the sorting hat section of the game, it's honestly a little lackluster. I'm not sure if it's just because I had linked my old Pottermore account, so I only had to answer like one question and then it just kind of ported over the information from that data. But despite being a Ravenclaw, I actually was still able to choose what house I wanted to play in, and I actually decided to play through as a Slytherin just because that was like one of the first houses I ever got sorted into. Now I will say, like, after this segment, once I was in my dorms, I really started to feel like I was a Hogwarts student. All the environments are just so beautiful, and I think they honestly did the design of Hogwarts much better than the films ever did. These depictions of Hogwarts seem much more in line with the books, and overall just feed into the environment a lot more than what I think the movies did. And as you're walking around, the snippets of conversations of the students around you talking, or even just talking about you, really made me feel like a fresh transfer student. Something else I really appreciate about this game is I don't feel the need or the rush to follow the main quest lines, as there are plenty of side quests to explore. The game also features a wide range of characters and creatures, and the first few hours of the game are honestly kind of surprising. After exploring the castle and learning some spells, I really began to feel like a true Hogwarts student. The combat in this game flows super nicely, and considering I found dueling to be rather irritating in old Harry Potter games, it is now one of my favorite parts of Hogwarts Legacy so far. For the cons of the game at this point, they're pretty few and far between. I will say that if you are playing on an older generation of console or PC, turning down the graphics will really help with any lag you may be experiencing. While playing, I noticed that sometimes my hair or robes will glitch on my character, but I don't expect this to remain unpatched since it tends not to affect any gameplay, and it probably is something that's very easy to fix. I'd also like to point out that the tutorial seems to still be continuing. I'm about 5 hours into the game, and I still haven't gotten to fly on a broomstick or fly on a hippogriff, and I know that those things come later in the game anyway, but I still feel like I'm playing a bit in the tutorial section of the game, which is a little frustrating, but I don't seem to mind it too much. It's definitely well paced, and it's really helping me get accustomed to all of the different mechanics that are in this game. Now, I am gonna start talking a bit extensively about the field notes mechanic. I think this is a really thematic and great way to access your menus. However, as someone who easily gets overwhelmed by lots and lots of UI, I am not crazy about the field notes. I'm hoping the more that I play the game and the more I get used to accessing the menus, I will find them less overwhelming and grow a lot more comfortable with them. But as for right now, they do feel and seem a little tedious. That being said, the way the maps are laid out and the Floo Powder fast travel stations are great. I love that you do not have to go to a physical Floo Powder station to fast travel. You can just fast travel at your own whim, which is a great pro for me because I really hate when you're, running somewhere in a game and you realize like, I just really don't want to run 700 more yards to get to this location. And the fact you can just pull out your map and take a little Floo Powder transport to the closest area really helps with pacing in this game. Now, if you are playing on PC, the big question is, should you use a keyboard and mouse or should you use a controller while playing this game? Personally, I've found the keyboard and mouse to be great. I don't see any issues with it except for when dueling. I have smaller hands, so being able to move my character while being able to also hit my spell combos tends to be a little bit difficult on a keyboard, which is definitely the pro towards using a controller. But I think if you have the right size keyboard or are willing to switch around some keybinds, I don't think the controller versus mouse and keyboard would make a difference too much in this game. Overall, I really like using both outside of dueling, and I don't see any difference in using a controller versus using a keyboard. Just pick whatever you're more comfortable with. Overall, my first impression of Hogwarts Legacy has literally blown me away. The world is so incredibly rich and full of life for a game of this size, and I really appreciate that they have strayed away from tying back to the narrative of the original story. I've really grown sick of connected Harry Potter spin-off stories. Cursed child. But I only hope this trend continues throughout the game, and I will be posting updates as I progress. As you might have seen in some of the clips, some of the characters do have last names that tie into characters of the main series, but the time difference between when the main series takes place and when this game takes place has provided enough of a gap that just makes me feel more like I'm in the world of Harry Potter versus actually playing a Harry Potter game. And I think that's it for my first impressions video. If you'd like to see more of me and my content, be sure to click that like button down below and subscribe to my channel. I post new gaming content every Monday and plan to set up a stream schedule right here on YouTube in the coming weeks where I can promise that we will be playing Hogwarts Legacy. As always, it's been nice talking to you, and I'll see you next time. Bye!